We are live, 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 live. Are we live? 1 minute late. 1 minute late, guys. How are you doing? Let me just set up my channel here. I was like, the channel was giving an error message on the stream. So I spent a minute trying to configure it to the way YouTube wants it. So didn't want to have any interruptions later on. So hold on as I bring up the chat here. Hello, the jellyfish is first. Space Jew, Action, Jackson, Mr. Exploit, James Mason, SV Vet, Darksins Navarro, S. Isaacs, Howard, Mitchell, Valentino. Hello, folks. Okay, so I'm looking straight here. I don't have to look down. Smash that. Yes, smash that like button. Okay, let me just monitor. I guess occasionally I got to glance over here to monitor the broadcast. And then I can look at the comments straight ahead here. So I don't have to look like I'm ignoring you in the camera. Looking forward to learning something new tonight. Hello, Ricardo Perlman. Hello, Eagle Source. So, is signal okay? Let me just... I did a broadcast on Periscope a week ago, and I had to change my settings, and that kind of ruined it. Plus, I also am not using my normal computer. I'm using Windows right now. And instead of my Linux computer, which, as I mentioned before, I spilled coffee on, and I have a Star Laptops, and they don't have a stock of keyboards because of coronavirus. So I'm awaiting a supply of keyboards. So in the meantime, I can't use it, can't use the device. So I have to stick with Windows. No problem. You know, I got a lot of computers, but you know, I want fast ones. Can't do videos. I can't process videos, record, edit on a slow computer. It's got to be fast. So I was kind of worried that I had to go buy another Windows computer, and I don't want to buy another Windows computer. If I'm going to buy one, I'd have to get one like a System 76 or something. Anyway, guys, welcome, and it's Adult Beverage Friday. So finally, I got my adult beverage. Very rare nowadays. I keep forgetting to do that. Northwood, so Wisconsin, S. Isaacs. I keep forgetting that's your name here. I keep forgetting that. S. Isaacs, okay. Anyone have a suggestion for an Android Auto replacement on Graphene OS that works on the radio in the car? What does that mean? An Android Auto replacement? You mean Graphene doesn't work with Bluetooth? Windows Zux. Hello, Howard. So anyway, a margarita. Cheers, folks. And I know there's, lockdown mode, and I've been out in the sun. You can see I'm kind of have a lot of sun because I'm out there fixing my boat in sunny Southern California, and I've been doing staying out a lot in the sun, doing that. And there's a lot of people in the harbor, so I don't know. I guess there's no lockdown in the harbor, so I'm happy to do that. Yes, sailing. I haven't really sailed. It's more about like staying on the boat and fixing it up. So I'm doing a lot of fixing on the boat. But I haven't actually. Maybe tomorrow. I took it out last Saturday, and I have to do it some more. But yeah, it's more about fixing it right now. What kind of boat? I have a sailboat. It's if you're on Braxme, you'll see it. It's a 33-foot sailboat, 10-meter sailboat. So you can see it on my profile on Braxme. So if you look there, you'll see it. Working on the boat is fine. Well, it's hard work and got a lot of bruises and things. It's a lot to fix on a boat. So I've had my boat for a very, very long time. So A lot of stuff to fix. Anyway, the question today is, and we're gonna just chat and you can ask questions. But the question today that I've been asked for several days now was about our real identities and how it works with your fake identity and all the conflicts in between, and how far do you want to go with this, and how you can protect, if at all you can, things like your shopping and all this, your shopping, your mail, your deliveries, your taxes. And some of you have a misconception about this because you're thinking about privacy, and you come up with a to-do list. And I gave you a very short list in my last video about what constitutes disinformation and what you really need to work on primarily. And I give you just 3 items. I said your phone, okay? Because if you don't work on your phone and change your phone to something that doesn't emit data, then that thing is a spy machine. So we want to limit the spy stuff. So I said phone. Second was the IP address. So you want to limit the IP address, and you don't. There was some idiot on YouTube. Yes, an idiot that was making comments about why am I promoting VPNs, and it was like so stupid. Well, you don't have to use a VPN if you don't want. But what are the options in not using VPN and Tor? Well, the only option is you stay on cell data, because that actually can work to an extent. Your ISP can spy on you, but at least, other entities, third parties, cannot. So cell data, if you, in the absence of a VPN, just go with cell data, and that will make it at least. Let's say you go to a place and you have the option. Do you go cell data, or do you go with nothing and borrow somebody's Wi-Fi? The answer is cell data, because the IP address in cell data is variable. It's shared. There's thousands of IP addresses shared by anyone with a phone in a certain area. So it's actually okay to a point, versus borrowing your friend's Wi-Fi, for example, and you're actually hurting the person you're borrowing the Wi-Fi from, because you're using their IP address and identifying them, not only you but them. So, and worst is if somebody uses your Wi-Fi at home. Like I said in my video, my IP address has been the same for almost 18 years. 18 years, the same IP address. And that's because I moved 18 years ago. What if it'll probably be the same IP address for next 10 years if I don't move. So you still love bridging. What are you bridging, S. Isaacs? You ever watch Sailing Doodles? They sail a CT-56. Now, what is a CT? Is that like a northern Wisconsin kind of craft? I'm not familiar with a CT, and I'm familiar with a lot of manufacturers, but I can't think of what a CT is at the moment. Locutus of Borg. Android Audio is not working on graphene that I know of. Yeah, I don't know. I've not used graphene yet. I was trying to install graphene. I couldn't. Could anyone trace me back to the BBS days? Maybe. Yes, I left beautiful Wisconsin. You know what, S. Isaacs? I lived in central Wisconsin, right? Back in the day. And I've never been north of Wausau. So that's still central Wisconsin. And so lately I've been looking at, some of these people with boats. And, I came across some boating things from Bayfield, Wisconsin. There's some YouTuber in near Bayfield, Wisconsin. I was like, wow. I mean, I was close to this and I didn't realize it was only a couple hours away, and I had no idea that I didn't even venture out there. I should have ventured out there and seen what it was like, and I did not do that. That's dumb of me. So, yeah, I would like to see that again. Okay, so I use Onion and Tor, but bridge various countries. Hello AMG. So, hello Sponge. What's up, man? You don't have any water where you are. You're like in dry land. You're like in dry land there, Sponge. Sponge is in southern Wisconsin. We got northern Wisconsin and southern Wisconsin represented. Pretty cool. Anyway, and then the third item on my list was about pseudo-anonymity, having a different name. And let me focus on that part there, which is the pseudo-anonymity part and having a different name. And some people took that a little bit, beyond what I said. And I prioritized that on purpose. Those three are the three most important ones. And if you protect those three, your attack surface is quite reduced for privacy. Not cybersecurity. That's a different thing. Cybersecurity is a different attack surface than privacy. So privacy is the phone, your IP address, and your name, real name, and what that entails. So today we're going to just focus on the pseudo-anonymity part, and it's a bit of a confusing issue because you can take it really far. Because when you say you want to be pseudo-anonymous, how far can you take that? Meaning, can you not use your real name in the internet at all? And the answer is you are already on the internet with a real name, because if you're old enough to buy a house, there's real estate records, which anybody that looks up your house can see who owns it on Trello, one of those websites. And if you've been in court for any reason, for anything from a lawsuit to divorce to custody battle to whatever, to a misdemeanor to a criminal offense, all of that's going to be in the court records. Then you have your credit records. So anyone that needs to look at your credit will look at your history and say, oh yeah, these are your purchases, your credit cards, your bad credit. These are the credit cards you carry. And then to the extent that, each Visa, MasterCard, American Express, whatever, they can see the individual transactions. Traffic ticket. I don't know about traffic ticket, but the thing is, you cannot hide your real identity. And this is the problem because, how far do you take what I say? And the question is, you already have a real identity. And here's the thing that you need to understand. You cannot erase your real identity from the internet. It's impossible. You can't erase it. So you have to start from the assumption that you already have a presence. And you want your presence on the internet to be a good one, meaning you want your reputation to be good and keep it at that, and then, let it kind of disappear. So you want a good presence on the internet, doing positive things and showing only positive things. And that's not always possible because, as I said, things happen in life, from divorce to, legal issues that happen all the time. So I'm not immune to that. I've been in a lot of lawsuits in my life, and I hate lawyers. And unfortunately, you're out there all the time, and these are public records. Because I'm from, I have a lot of companies in the past, and I was involved with mostly people screwing me. So, or companies, so company to company. So usually in 99% of the cases, either my company or myself am doing the suing. And so, people have stolen my software. Big companies have stolen my software. They got sued. They lost. So, yeah, so a lot of that happens. But the problem is then, you're out there and you have a presence. And let me tell you, I wouldn't be able to do what I do here on YouTube if I wasn't really ready for that. It wouldn't work because I would have too much of a presence and people would dig in and find out too much information from even court records and things. So in my case, what I've done was I had zero presence on the internet from when the internet started. Zero. And I don't mean I wasn't on the internet. I was. But I never used my real name ever. Not even a photo of me is on the internet. So, and then of course I shut down my Facebook account. So early on. So I shut down my Facebook account in 2013. So that's 7 years ago now. So yeah, so you can see that I'm kind of unusual. I don't think a lot of you now, here we are in 2020, and if you had to reverse yourself, you probably wouldn't be able to do that, because a lot of you said, well, I want to be famous on Instagram, so you plastered all your photos on Instagram with your face on it. How do you now go back and say, well, I want to create a new identity, but then you show your face, and using something called Google reverse image search, they can find out your old identity, in which case then you're zucked. You can't really separate it. So it's very, very hard to do. And I'm a bit of an unusual case here because I've been aware of privacy on the internet since the internet started. I mean, that's how far. When the internet started, my mind already said, do I really want my emails to be publicly open like this? I already knew at the beginning because I'm a programmer and I program email programs, and I said, yeah, so my email is in ASCII, plain text, and anyone can read this. Anyone in an office can read, emails from Exchange or Postfix or whatever the software was back in the day. It's not those. So I already knew that, and I was ready for it, but 99% of you probably aren't going to be able to do that because unless you're older, you're not going to be able to disappear because you already have a presence. Some of your kids are being plastered on the zucking internet from the time they're babies, and you're already putting all the records on zucking Zuckbook. From the time they're babies, you are not giving these kids a choice. ARPANET days. Are you old if you know what ARPANET is? Yeah, that's pretty old. Of course, that's pre-internet, and I know that. I was developing software pre-internet, long time before the internet. To let the algorithm know you like and support this channel. Yes, hit the like button. Hit the like button so that the algorithm knows and can trace you and follow you and say that you like this content. So please hit the like button. I appreciate it. So anyway, given that you are not me, you have more potential for issues with privacy as a normal person. And given that, how do we actually deal with this? And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to only give you food for thought. There's no fixed answer here because I can't. Each case is completely different. You can't erase the internet. So whatever you have on there is going to be there. So take care of your kids. Don't put them on the internet because you're not giving them a choice. When they get older, they want to disappear. Like I want to do something now on the internet with this channel, and I couldn't have done that if I had some other things going on. So especially somebody like me who was actually, famous in my other field. So, people knew me, and people, I hid myself, but people knew what I do, and my software is still in use today, in big enterprises all over the country. So, I can't hide in that kind of context, and they'll be coming in here and asking questions about other things that have nothing to do with this channel. So it's basically, hello, Jason Reviews Tech. So basically, if you look at my background here, you'll find that, I had the foresight to actually understand the internet from the very beginning, from when it was just starting, and I have this kind of advantage where I can now say, okay, now I'm going to go public now, but I'm going to control my persona and control what people see about me. And for the last 5 years, I've done that. I've been on Periscope, been on Twitter, been even on AM radio, and now shifted to YouTube in the last year and something here, year and a few months. So I'm able to do it. Now, the problem is you're going to make enemies on the internet, and people will want to dox you. So they're going to want to find information about you and plaster it all over the place. And there's an example on Periscope where this guy made a lot of enemies because he, first of all, was in politics, and he was broadcasting about politics, and he made a lot of enemies. And not just because of politics, but his personality. And so the enemies would go dox him and go find out information about him and say, hey, look at what, you had a stupid job, and, why are we believing you? Somebody actually asked me, and it was kind of funny. Somebody asked me in Brax Me, they said, you don't have a internet footprint. And I was like, suck. I don't have an internet footprint. I have close to 15,000 subscribers here. Subscribers on YouTube. I have 30,000 followers on Periscope. I have 7,000 followers on Twitter. I was on AM radio where millions of people have seen me, heard me. My Periscope videos, live streams used to get 15,000 viewers a night back in the day. And so millions of viewers, and you're telling me that I'm not on the internet? It's like sucked up. So guys, I control the persona that I show here, and yes, I have more positive things in my life than I show here. Most of my life is very, very positive. But I want to separate my old company and my old activity from my current one. And I've done a good job of that. So if there's anybody who's an expert at doing this, it's got to be me, because I've done it. Okay? Now, it's a little bit harder for me because I had companies, and I was in a different industry, and I'm well known as a software architect, developing large systems, and so I was well known in those large system fields, but no one actually knew my face because very few people actually saw me. Very few people even talked to me. Usually they have to go through tens of levels of staff before they got across to me, and it would take like a lot of appointments to even get to me back then. So I was kind of invisible. And here I am, very, very accessible to you, and you can talk to me, and I'm right here. And in a persona that's completely separate from what I've done before. Now, because of this, I actually did, for myself, I did some things that, it's probably too hardcore for many of you. For example, my Amazon account is corporate. My PayPal is corporate. Thank you, James Miller. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So I appreciate anybody supporting this channel with, if you're on Patreon or doing super chats. Thank you so much. This is really, helps to sustain this channel because, I think I made $200 last month from YouTube. $200 from YouTube. That's all I made. So anyway, I took it a bit far. I do have my things delivered to a PO box. My PO box is corporate. It has a corporate name, corporate identity on there. My purchases on PayPal are corporate. My Amazon credit card that I use is corporate. My AWS account goes to a corporate credit card. And that's one way of doing it. I mean, it's tedious. It doesn't mean you're invisible, but it's a little bit harder to trace stuff when it's through a corporation. So and there's things you can do with a corporation if you talk to your lawyer, your accountant, and you can hide a lot of stuff in there from casual use. Now you can't like hide from the government and such, but it's enough to give you a little bit of anonymity with day-to-day dealings. So that's what I do now. Is that necessary for any of you? And to be honest with you, I don't think so. And I'll explain why, because this is some of the questions I got. Should you hide your shopping? Should you go on Amazon and hide that kind of stuff from your, do you need, there's a credit card company. They're not a sponsor of mine, but I wouldn't mind sponsoring them, having them as a sponsor, because it's a good idea, and it's privacy.com. Again, I'm only saying this because it's interesting. They're not a sponsor. Privacy.com allows you to basically create fake credit cards for temporary use, so that you can basically Privacy.com has your actual credit card, and then they issue you temporary credit cards with a different name, and it goes through Privacy.com. So that's one way of doing it without having to go through all the privacy stuff. Is that worth doing? Is that even possible to do? And let me just tell you some of the difficulties. If you open up a PO box for delivery, and you know how inconvenient it is to get deliveries from PO boxes, because Amazon Prime, they drop it right at your door, and now you're going to say, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to drive to the PO box, to your UPS box or your PO box, and I'm going to pick up stuff there, and they're not open on weekends, and Amazon Prime delivers on Sundays. So do you really want to go through all this trouble? Okay, the problem is I did that. I went to the UPS and got a PO box at UPS, and they actually had you sign a bunch of papers for KYC, know your customer. So they actually know who I am anyway. Thank you, Michael Rose. Thank you for your contribution. Thank you so much. Are you from Canada? Michael Rose must be from Canada, because the denomination is Canadian. I had to think about that for a moment and see what that meant. So anyway, going through the post office, you can't hide from them anyway. I mean, the only real way to hide would be if somebody set up a PO box for you, and then use your name on the PO box plus the name of the original person, just so there's some separation. That's one way of doing it, but it's kind of difficult to do. So if you're going to do it by yourself, it's hard to do. And now anyone can still, certainly the government knows if you're getting a shipment through a PO box, that they can find your home address. But yes, there's separation. So if I want to get some shipment from for business reasons, it goes to the PO box and it doesn't go to my home address. So you can do that. It's not a bad idea if it matters to you for certain things. Is it important to do? Again, here's the problem. Here's the problem, guys. It has to be almost total, because you have a credit card, and the credit card is in your name at some point. Even if you use privacy.com, at some point it's your real name. Even if you use PayPal, there's a credit card there that goes into PayPal. So someone knows your real name. And PayPal, they verify your bank account, so they know who you are. They know your social security number, because they got to give you W-2 forms and all that. So yeah, when it comes to money, pretty much hiding is not going to work. Ship to the neighbors, make sure they don't have a ring. Carrier pigeon. Yes, you're Canadian. I'll give money to support this channel, but if I have an account, but I have to yet. Thank you, ABC or Glitter Contraption. What about prepaid card? Validated. Again, very difficult for most things. Very difficult. For example, when you purchase from me, if you, let's say you're buying a phone, I take Amazon credit cards, I take crypto, I take money orders, and I take credit cards on PayPal. I'm trying to give people as much flexibility as I can, so that it makes you feel like I don't have to know you. So some of you give me a different address, either PO box, or in many cases, I've actually had people have me ship it to someone they know, but not their home address. And one of them actually lost a phone because the person said, I didn't get it. And I have a record that said it was shipped, and he didn't inform the person that it was coming. And the guy said, well, I didn't get the phone. So that's difficulty. You have no way of even claiming insurance or anything, because it's not yours. It's not your mailing address. So is it even important? Now, let's just make sure we understand. Midnight Owl. By the way, I'm a new sub. Michael Rose is a new sub. Thank you for, yes, Cosmic Rose, adult beverage. My first time in a broadcast since lockdown that I have an adult beverage on a Friday. Okay, so social media. Hello, Galvano. Social media is not the same as Amazon. I just want to make sure that's clear. PayPal is not the same as Amazon. So what's the difference? Well, when you're doing social media, it means third parties, other people are looking in there and looking at your posts, and then another set of third parties called social media aggregators are taking that data and sharing it and giving it away for free to everyone who wants it. Like Spoke You and Tell You and so on. So social media is different. No one can actually say, what did you buy this week, Rob? Can we look at your Amazon account and see what you purchased this week? Let's say you want to know how many Raspberry Pis I bought. Well, you're not going to know that because it's not social media. Does Amazon know how many Raspberry Pis I bought? Yeah, if I buy from Amazon. Fortunately, I don't have to buy everything from Amazon. But, yeah, they know. Can they find out my real name? Yeah. I'm sure they can. Do they share it? Well, in their EULA, they said they don't. Financial transactions are subject to completely separate set of laws, and they can't really reveal those kinds of transactions, because then that would put their banking at risk. So they can't actually share that kind of private information. So, because they're not directly involved with the transaction. Now, let's just give you another example here. Let's say you have Apple Pay, and then you put your credit card on your phone. Does Apple know your transactions? Zuck, yeah. Does your credit card know your transactions? Well, obviously. But now you've inserted somebody in the middle, which is not healthy. So I don't like that. I don't like putting credit cards on my phone. Why do they need to know what my transactions are? Because that is now starting to act like social media. But if I have a direct transaction between me and Amazon, then I don't really get too concerned about it, unless there's something I got to hide from the government in some way, which I don't. So it doesn't really matter to me. So I happen to be a big user of Amazon, and a lot of the products I sell you, I buy from Amazon. So, it's just, I know it's convenient, and, I've been buying from Amazon for a long time, and the risk that I had with Amazon, let me just give you an example here. One of the risks I had was uh, imagining Gmail getting involved. So let's say, and I did not use a Gmail account, but I'm just imagining this with some of you. You set up a Amazon account and then you use Gmail with it. So back in the day, in 2019 and prior, Amazon actually put the entire order on the email. So all you have to do is, if you were Gmail, all you have to do is read what's being ordered on the Amazon emails, because they send you a confirmation. They say, yes, thank you. Thank you for your purchases of panties and bras in size double D, and delivered to this address, and that's on the email. That is on the email. That was on the email with Amazon. So now you've transferred the data from Amazon to Gmail, which is social media. Now they have it. Now they know what you're buying. And that now becomes a completely different thing. So that's easily solved by not using Gmail or any company that reads your email, which they do. And Amazon recently changed. In 2020, they stopped that. They only say you have a transaction, and then they give you a link to your Amazon account. So they don't actually put the transaction on there anymore. So that's good. I was complaining about that for, many years. Ever since I've been talking about privacy and social media, I've been talking about that for 5 years, saying this is so stupid of Amazon to be doing this. Putting all that information on email. We all know email is not safe. Everyone reads the emails, and then you're actually sending out all of your purchases on the Gmail. That's why one of the things I said was do not use Gmail. So if you can isolate a transaction with shopping to just between you and the shop, I think you're okay. Now, somebody will say, well, what about PayPal? Is PayPal safe? Now, aren't you in fact putting PayPal in the middle now, where the PayPal can then see your transactions? Instead of just a credit card company, now you have the transactions. Well, it's a little bit different, because PayPal, again, is not social media. Venmo is. Zucking Venmo. I'm not going to use Zucking Venmo. Okay, that's social media. So, yeah, so I look at who got paid what, and I said, hey, why didn't you call me for that gig? I noticed you did a gig with such and such. Musicians get paid on Venmo, and you can see who was getting paid when, so you know who was getting hired, and then I can see I wasn't getting hired to play music, and it was so obvious on the Venmo. So I don't want to do that. Venmo sucks. It's an invasion of privacy. But PayPal itself is kind of like a relationship with Amazon. It's between you and PayPal, even though PayPal is a third party, because it's your credit card, then PayPal, and then whoever you're buying from. But this is a little different case. Let's say you're buying products from several small websites. Let's say it's not Amazon. Let's say you're buying some products from, AliExpress. By the way, they don't take PayPal anyway. But let's say, you buy a few things from different companies, small companies, and you put your credit card information on there. And this happens frequently in like sailing gear, because a lot of these sailing gear companies, are small companies and they're small businesses, and you often have to read them your credit card and do all that. That's actually not good, because you're actually distributing your credit card information to many people, and that will increase the possibility of fraud. I don't like doing that. That's why I centralize it with PayPal. When I have to go to all these small sites, now I don't mind doing it with a big company like Amazon to give them my credit card, but it's very uncomfortable to be giving small websites credit card information. So in my store, I don't take credit card info, because if I get hacked, then the hacker gets a hold of all the credit card information. So that is not a good idea nowadays, and for that reason, I don't want to take that risk, so I use PayPal. So the choice of PayPal is more about cybersecurity, not privacy, cybersecurity. PayPal is a lot safer. Now, is that a problem because they have your data? Again, between you and a financial transaction, it's not. They can't make it public, except to a government. So again, it's not in the same league as, let's say, social media. So I don't get concerned about that. How safe is Coinbase? Coinbase is safe for using it, but it's being watched by the government, obviously, because it's KYC, know your customer. Well, I don't keep money on Coinbase, so I haven't been hacked on Coinbase. I've been using Coinbase in small ways for a long time. Never any big amount though. Information defined on top of real related data, right? So the fake and wrong data and relations will cause unidentifiable information. Now we got to talk about that. How are those KRK RoadKit 5s? Are they 5s? They're kind of old. They've been around for a while. Don't keep money in there. I don't. I put them in a wallet. Don't put your phone number in Coinbase. I use two-factor authentication with Google Authenticator. I don't use YubiKey, even though I have one. I use Google Authenticator. I think I use Authy, actually. So using a VPN server and then connecting to a Tor browser can impact your anonymity. No, that's not enough. Okay, so back to. By the way, if you like this channel, hit that like button. Very few of you are hitting it, so we got to make the algorithm think that you. The algorithm needs to know what you feel. So if you don't like it, hit down. If you like it, hit up. Would you or could you share an email place for people that want to break away from the control that some have that some don't realize? Hit like now, everyone. Thank you. So personally, even though I'm much more aware and I've had a lot of experience with this, even setting up corporate accounts, I don't think it's worth it because it becomes less of a privacy issue and becomes more of an issue for people hiding from a government, hiding from taxation and so on, which is none of me. I don't hide anything. I had a recent IRS audit, no problem. I had a full audit recently, and it was full. I mean, line by line on a bank statement kind of audit. It was random, and after a long career, then I finally got one. And usually they just have spot audits, but this one was a full audit, like line by line, and can't find anything negative. So my IRS auditor, I think they spotted a mistake. I did have to pay a small amount because there was a mistake made by my accountant. It was just a mistake. Nothing of any significance, and it was perfect. So I don't. That's not my deal. I don't tell people to hide from taxes or even hide from crypto and all that. So that's not really important to me. The important thing is, what am I leaving as a? We already have a credit rating. So, in a sense, we've lost our financial privacy already with the credit rating. So, it's kind of too late for that. I don't want that to turn into the same thing with the social rating, where you not only have a credit rating and then your social rating becomes significant. We do have a social rating. Go to mylife.com. It's a very stupid rating, though, and it's inaccurate. I think mine was very low because they say, "Oh, you have lawsuits." It's like, "Zuck you. I'm the one who did the suing. You stupid idiot system." I'm the one doing the suing, and they're like, "Well, you have lawsuits." Like, stupid. So their algorithm doesn't even work. But can you imagine we get to the point where actually you get graded based on, what's actually happening to you socially, and there's no cutoff? Credit has a cutoff. They say bad credit 3 years, bankruptcy 7 years, complete erasure in 10 years. They do that. There is no such law in social media. And so whatever they say about you now, that's going to stay there forever unless some law passes that changes that, and it's not going to be happening soon. No, the social don't just say that China has social rating and then we don't, because we do. It's just spread out right now. It's not government sponsored. Whereas the China one is government sponsored. That's a desktop Firefox browser allows device frequency. My goodness, well, that's a completely off the topic question here. So anyway, I personally don't consider that to be. If I'm going to prioritize, maybe in the next video, I'll talk about, like, the top 10 things to do for your privacy, because some things are not in the top 10. Shopping is not. Shopping is not in the top 10. So is it in the top 20? I don't even know if it's that important, because you can't escape the credit card. If you're able to say, you spend money in cash, then yes. Now, but why? What are you hiding? If you're hiding from taxation, you have a completely different issue, which, it's not me. I'm not here going to tell you to evade your taxes. I don't do that. I just don't want bad guys to have access to it. Murica is so backwards as to social skills. Yes, user agent spoofer works on Chrome. There's not hiding. It's about freedom. So, freedom from what though? Freedom from the government? That's the problem. Because of KYC laws, know your customer, you can't even do crypto. They're doing their best to make sure that when you even get crypto, they're tracking everything. It's very hard. How do you buy? Let's say you buy crypto and you want to spend it now. How do you spend it? You have to put it into a credit card. You transfer the money from, let's say, Bitcoin to a credit card. They actually catch you whenever you cash crypto into dollars. Gotcha. I mean, the government's going to catch you. So that battle is already lost. It's already lost. So in what I'm saying is, the reason I'm not talking about that kind of privacy is because that battle is already lost. Just like your tax records, just like your medical records. Your medical records are already lost. That's already in the hands of the government. In case you didn't know that. In case you thought you had some sort of security in knowing that only you knew about your AIDS diagnosis, wrong. How about your COVID diagnosis? Wrong. Public information now being sent to health information exchanges in real time, and they can now know exactly who has COVID and which household it is and where you live. They know all that. Brown Jory. Hello, Joe Smith. There's no DNA COVID test, no contact tracing, and no vaccine. Do not give I shouldn't have read that. YouTube will probably demonetize me for that. Use a Bitcoin machine. Use a hoodie. What about HIPAA laws? What about it? Somebody in medical, I can tell you, so what? Yeah. That's a joke. HIPAA laws is a joke. So I am not gonna tell you to get concerned about shopping and all that. So what I would suggest instead is to separate what you do in your real life. Now let's get down to the meat of this. What I'm really trying to tell you is separate your real name activities from your non-real name activities, and don't join the two. So, financial transactions. Can you use a real name email with financial transaction? For example, can you use a real name email with a bank? You're going to have to, because they know you anyway. They'll send you an email with your real name on it. So it just confuses the issue if you use a fake. Let's say you're going to call yourself Jason. You're going to call yourself Jason Smith, and your real name is Frank Jones. And so you use your email on your bank that says you're Jason Smith, even they know you're Frank Jones. And then they'll send you emails that say, Frank Jones, did you make a purchase? We're trying to verify fraud. Did you make a purchase today? And then your email says Jason Smith. It doesn't sound right. So at that point, it's kind of pointless. I wouldn't do that. I would keep banking and all that in the real name category. I will keep anything that I talk to with government. So, for example, if I'm doing corporate filings and things like that, I would use whatever email identity I have with the government. Government isn't going to send you tax documents, at least at the federal level, but the state might. A state might send you. Here in the U.S., a state might send you email, but the federal government does not send email. So there, I would distinguish and say, okay, when I'm talking to my credit card company, when I'm talking to American Express, when I'm talking to Visa, MasterCard, I can use a real name email account. So I can actually have an email account with my name on it. And even though I tell you to be pseudo-anonymous, that's an area where I say that's the other side of the line. Don't bother with that. To keep separation between your other side and what else you do. So there, now you've heard me. So at the very least, have 2 email accounts, maybe more. But at the very least, use your real name account for anything financial. Because it doesn't matter. And use it only for that. Okay? Because somebody will read it anyway. So use it only for things that have your real name on it. So, for example, let's say you're setting up let's say your kid is applying to college and you want to use an email address for that. Well, it's okay to use a real name email address to apply for college because they're going to respond to you with a real name response. So in which case then, nothing lost, nothing gained, but nothing lost. You don't want that. You're not losing anything. But if let's say you have an Instagram is a bad example. Let's say you have a Twitter account and your name on Twitter is Joe Tweet at twitter.com. And that is not your real name. And you're out there talking politics all day on Twitter. And you're bashing somebody on Twitter, constantly. And you got a lot of supporters or haters and so on. And you're Joe Tweet. Now, I would keep that email, joetweet@gmail.com, for example, which I would have used for Twitter, and kept that separate from my real name that I use for banking because I don't want to mix those up. So I wouldn't go to Twitter and set up my real name as my email verification on Twitter, because that is not following the rule of separation between these two. So no, I don't want anything to connect the two. You want to have them completely separate. In fact, different phone numbers. So have at least 2 phone numbers, one for two-factor or not do two-factor authentication. But if you are going to do it, have one with your real number with your real name on it, and have one for other purposes like two-factor authentication. Joe Tweet is your twin. Oh, yeah, Joe Smith. Can my name be anonymous? Everyone's... just don't call yourself No Name. Is No Name here tonight? One of the many no names? Can Ubuntu Touch do penetration testing? What does that mean? Ubuntu Touch is an OS. It doesn't have brains to do anything. Hello, Andrew. How are you doing, Andrew? So what am I saying here? I'm saying even though I personally took the time to set up a corporate account and corporate credit cards and all that, in hindsight, is it even necessary? And the answer is actually No. No. Uh, if I have to purchase from somebody and I don't really want them to know who I am, maybe use privacy.com. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you. To give a fake credit card in those limited cases. But other than that, I wouldn't really, I wouldn't bother. It's not that important for privacy because, again, your transactions stay with the entity you're buying and shopping from. It's only when there's somebody in the middle that it's an issue. So don't use an email address that will read your shopping transactions if they are selling that data, just like Google. So I wouldn't use Google for my confirmation email to shopping sites. I would use something more private, like your own domain, or something that's not Google, like a paid email account. And the reason being that I don't want them to read what I'm purchasing and then using that against me in advertising, because they don't give you a Gmail account for free. They use that to follow you and to profile you. Amazon is trying to get into gaming. Are you kidding me? Jason Reviews? Are you out of touch here, my friend? Are you out of touch, Jason Reviews? I mean, Amazon owns Twitch. Or did you not know that? The biggest gaming live streaming platform is sucking Twitch, owned by Amazon. So they're not trying to get into gaming. They're embedded in gaming in a big way with Twitch. Real games? They're making games. Well, they would, because they're already big on. A lot of these gaming companies probably are based on AWS, so they're the platform's already there. I mean, even Braxme is an AWS. How do you feel about live streaming in general? Same issues with live streaming as with anything else. You have to make sure you understand your what persona you're trying to lay out here on social media, and to make sure it doesn't conflict with anything else you do. So in my case, it's very well planned out, but can the average person do that? A lot of you have a lot of baggage in social media because you stop something. You never think about it. You never think about the name you use. You're reusing the same photos, and so you're going to be sucked. In my case, I've never put my photo on the internet. So, except when I did live streaming. So people want to search back and see what I've done using my photos, they're not going to succeed because you're not going to find anything. And, I had a different name on the internet for everything I did. So, and otherwise I don't show up on the internet. This is like since the beginning of the internet, I've always known to have separate identities. I've already been doing this for a long time. Your photo is right here. How should I order something with my address and name? Like I said, you don't need to worry about that. I don't think that's an issue that you have to concern yourself with because that is not social media. So, yeah, that's a takeaway here. I wouldn't worry about that. That's, just make sure your email account is not something that can read your purchases. And that's it. That's it. That's all you have to worry about. And you can forget about it. Okay, so again, let me repeat the example so you're clear with this. Okay, I had an Amazon account, and if I had Gmail on there, I'm trying to recall if I used Gmail for even a brief time. Uh, I may have used the Gmail like for a brief period, like a long time ago, because I had to do it quickly. But then I changed it. So during the time that I was using Gmail, that means every purchase I made showed up on the Google database, since Google reads the Gmail and then can see it comes from Amazon and what I purchased on there. But that was a long time ago and was only for a brief period. So that's one thing you don't want to have. It's if you get emails of confirmation of your orders with all the detail in there, that is very, very bad. And you got to make sure that whatever email you use is not selling that information. And obviously Google is. So that's the only thing I got to worry about. Beyond that, I don't think I really need to worry about anything, and I prefer to use PayPal. Some of you don't like PayPal because you're saying, well, who wants to be controlled by this or that or some central entity? But the problem is then you have to reveal your actual credit card number, and on PayPal you don't. PayPal is the only one that you reveal it to. So, the devil you know. In this case, PayPal's the devil I know. It's better than having many little sites which are more prone to hacking, and so they're actually more dangerous. So I don't really think it. If I'm going to balance it out, PayPal will end up safer, and I've never lost money on PayPal. Of course, I use Chrome. Would disabling a built-in phone mic and adding an external mic with on-off switch work to prevent audio spying? Ideal, the mic would be stored in a custom-built case. Who's your threat? Hacker? I mean, you have to concern yourself. Well, who's your threat? Who are you afraid of? Because don't give audio permissions. Don't give audio permissions. But is Chrome safe? That's in I discussed that in the browser fingerprint test videos. And the answer is, if you're going to do something related to Google like YouTube, then use Chrome. Chrome for Google things. Because why? Because they're not going to get any more information than they're already getting. They already know it anyway. So if you're going to use YouTube, use Chrome. Not going to hurt you. There's no new information to be gotten. Use non-Chrome for other things? Yes. Not a bad idea. I do. So I use many browsers. That I do browser isolation. So the only two things I would isolate really is Google and Facebook. The rest can go use Firefox. So I'm a big user of Firefox, and then for YouTube, use Chrome. For Facebook, which I don't have, use something else. Take an old audio jack, cut the end off. It's not going to work anymore, Joe, on a iPhone and a brand new Pixel. They don't have any more audio jacks. Zuck. Yeah, is Super Chat dollars better than PayPal? No. Super Chat involves the platform, the phone platform, so they take a cut. So typically 50% of it goes to Google and Apple, whereas PayPal only takes a small percentage out. Is Yahoo Verizon safe or Verizon safe? No, but that's why I use a VPN. Now, all of your carriers are not safe. That's why I use a VPN to confuse them. Don't buy phones with no audio jacks. Good idea, Joe Smith. I'm not selling any phones without audio jacks. I think you would probably need dedicated devices for personal separation. Okay, that's a good point. Dino, or Dino. Uh, Device separation. Device fingerprinting attaches to your device. So if you, well, do you actually need to? In a way, you don't. If you have a de-Googled phone like the ones I sell, okay, let's say you have an iPhone with iOS. So iOS on your phone, okay? iOS has your identity on it because the credit card is attached to it. You cannot use a fake identity with the iPhone because it's gonna just spot, with device fingerprinting, the app is going to know your real identity. So you're zucked with an iPhone. Same with Android. Although they made that a little bit more difficult in Android 10. It's a little bit more difficult to do device fingerprinting in Android 10. But in general, if you have an iPhone, it's not the place to do the identity separation, because the device fingerprint will confirm that the two identities are the same. Now, just do in contract. Thank you, MJ. Do it in reverse now. Let's say you have a de-Googled phone like the ones I sell, a Motorola G7, let's say. If you're on Android running something with your real name on it or not, they can't really match it to anything because the device does not have an identity. There's actually no device fingerprinting, so they can't match anything to anything because all the data is disinformation. So the data is not useful. So do you really need separation? No, and this is why these de-Googled phones are amazing. These de-Googled phones are like, they offer a lot of privacy with a lot of convenience, because you can actually do most apps and most things work. You can even run Waze on it. So, and let's say you don't have a VPN even on a Google phone. Well, use data. Stay on cell data. Don't use a Wi-Fi. Can you do identity separation with a KaiOS phone? Not sure anymore about that. The reason is a KaiOS is now Google. So I don't know anymore, because what about device fingerprinting on a KaiOS phone? So, that was tainted. It seemed like a safe solution for a while. Didn't last long though. Google says, "Oh, look, there's a hole in here." I have an idea for a video. How to use your de-Googled phone, on how to use your de-Googled phone. Well, get your de-Googled phone first, then I can make the video. I mean, the majority of you have to be on a de-Googled phone, or no one's gonna watch the video. Don't you have to sign into Kali? Exactly. There's always some sign up, and that's the device fingerprint. Now we can use the text the Google, Apple provided us to track and identify others' account. I have an idea. Which distro do you use? I don't bother. I use Ubuntu. Some of you say, well, Ubuntu is taking your data. Yes, they do have. I've proven that they actually do. They check in. They check into. Is it check.ubuntu.com or something like that? There's a little bit of telemetry with connection. So they're trying to count how many people use Ubuntu. It's not really a big deal, but I use Ubuntu because it's the most stable when it comes to drivers, and since I'm doing development, the stability with drivers is a big deal for me, because I don't want to waste time figuring it out, because I need to spend my time doing programming. cellular compare Wi-Fi. Which one is safer? How dangerous about 5G in the future? 5G is very dangerous. Uh, by the way, try a non-system D distros. I was using non-system D before. Before they used system D. Would you advise not to? I don't worry about laptops. I don't worry about laptops. Laptops, you worry about cybersecurity. Put a VPN on it. You know, I don't even put an antivirus on a laptop. No, the phone is your biggest fear. The phone. It's like 90% phone, 10% computer. 90% phone. If you're gonna ask me, use Pop OS then or Manjaro. Manjaro is Arch. A lot of incompatibilities. If you're doing software development, you'll find, missing this library and this that. It's kind of a pain. So in theory, Manjaro is great to be used. It's kind of a nice looking system, nice to use it, but for development purposes, I need something that is more Debian based because it's more reliable for me. Hola, Brando Lanes. Do I need a VPN router and VPN specifically for my device? A VPN router is not for one device. A VPN router is so you don't have to set up all the devices. You bring safety to a group of devices at once with one device. And it's really, really convenient. 22 million into KaiOS, which is why Google bought it. So, the answer is the Google phone. Going to check that for sure. So, a Google phone has so much safety in it. To be honest with you, that again, let me repeat this. I kind of, I have to be repetitive with some of this because some of you are still not getting it. There are a couple solutions to being safe with the phone. And again, most of the risk of your privacy is in a phone now. It's changed. Most of it is in the phone risk. So if you don't want to be spied on and tracked and profiled and have a little bit of privacy, then you got to defend at the phone level. So the two ways of defense are with Linux phones, of which there aren't that many options, and the only one really that's operational that many of you can use is Ubuntu Touch. And Ubuntu Touch has some limitations. It only works in very few devices. So Ubuntu Touch is going to be my idea of the safest phone you can possibly use. There's not a lot of tracking going on. There's not a lot of reporting of anything. It's kind of a basic phone with the internet, with a lot of web apps, but it's very, very basic. But it's the safest. There's no doubt it is the safest. And the only problem is that most of the apps, not all, but most of the apps will be web apps. Okay? Can we track, identify others' accounts on Facebook? That's what you use Facebook for. So if you want to be tracked and such, go to Facebook. I don't know if I can convert those, King Sing. Some of you asked me about some brands, and I couldn't do it. So anyway, so a Linux phone is definitely number one there. The problem with a Linux phone is because of the fact that it doesn't run your popular apps. Then it's kind of like KaiOS. It has some limitations, but it is the safest. And there's no doubt that, because it uses only open source stuff, that there's not going to be a lot of spying going on when it comes to Linux phones, especially those new Linux phones with a hardware switch like the PinePhone and the Librem 5. When they get those running, the switches, because they're not actually running too well right now, When they get those running, they're going to be the safest device. However, they're not going to be the easiest to use. Some of you are going to say, well, I need to use Waze on my phone. And if I can't use Waze, then I can't have it. And because, you're not going to give your wife a phone that doesn't have Waze if she uses Waze. You're going to get a battle. That's where the Google phone is kind of different, because the Google phone actually runs most Android apps, most, not all. It runs a good chunk of the Android apps, maybe 70% of them. And it's not doing it the same way as a Linux phone. The Google phone operates by faking your Google identity. It actually talks to Google. It gets notifications from Google. It downloads the Play Store from Google. The only trick is that when I give you a phone that has been de-Googled, it actually thinks it's someone else. It doesn't know it's you, because you never sign into the phone. There's never an opportunity for you to put your real name on the phone, ever. The phone has no identity. So in a sense, it is talking to Google, but it's disinformation. So two different approaches. On Linux, it doesn't talk to Google at all. On a de-Google phone, it does talk to Google, but it doesn't know who you are. In which case, we're tricking Google. And for that reason, it's very, very functional, because for all intents and purposes, it runs just like a normal Android phone. And yet it feels very, very safe. I love it. I'm going to tell you that, for somebody who uses a lot of apps and such, the de-Google phone is awesome. One of the things that I have a problem with on the Ubuntu Touch phone is the Bluetooth. And in California, you can't drive, and talk on the phone without Bluetooth. It's not allowed here. So with a Android AOSP de-Googled phone, it works just like a normal Android, and it can Bluetooth works perfectly. And like I said, I can use Waze, and I never log into anything. You cannot install anything Google. You cannot install Gmail. You cannot install YouTube. You cannot install any of that. But anything that doesn't come from Google, most things do work. Like I said, 70% of the apps work. You can't do anything in California. King Singh, those are not compatible with Ubuntu Touch. Ubuntu Touch is limited to Nexus. For practical reasons, you can only buy a Nexus 5, which is hard to get now, and a Pine phone. So beyond that, OnePlus One's very hard to get. Fairphone is not a phone that you can get in the U.S. So, Sailfish OS is Europe. Doesn't work in the U.S. Can't get one. So, yeah, you're kind of stuck here. So, nothing better than selling. Do the Google phones provide Google voice typing? No. No, because you cannot install anything Google. No. That's a very dangerous thing. If you do use anything Google voice, kind of like, Siri, you're actually having to talk to the Google server, and you do not want that. Do not want that. So I know it's convenient for you, but, that is a fast way to quick spying. What is the fastest VPN provider that you personally trust? I'm a VPN provider, so I'm not going to tell you anybody else. My VPN is bytesvpn.com, and if you're not right next to the server, it's ultra fast. But obviously that's kind of a weird question, because it depends how far you are from the server. My servers are very fast. But if you're in Turkey, it might be slow. Or in India. Uh, um, could Google connect a Google phone to me by the Wi-Fi router I use at home and my neighbor? Uh, Not a Google phone, no. Google phones do not do Wi-Fi scanning. Okay, the Google phones are fantastic because there's two little tricks that Google uses to identify you, and that is stopped by the Google phone. One is Wi-Fi scanning, which is used to track routers around you, and the other one is device fingerprinting, and you have no identity. The Google phone solved these two problems because you have neither of them. You cannot stop that on iOS. So the only solution really is the Google phone. The Google phones are pretty awesome, I have to tell you. You will feel it. It's palpable. The feeling of security that you say, wow, I can actually do most things and it doesn't know who I am. So contact tracing, none of that will work with a de-Googled phone. So if you want to feel like, if you don't want to feel like you need to participate in contact tracing, you're not going to be able to stop that. They're already tracking that, but the Google phone does not get tracked with location. So it's awesome. If you haven't gotten a Google phone, you really ought to think about it, especially with your new stimulus check. Think about it. I mean, use it against them because they're going to do contact tracing and you're going to say, wow, I'm going to, feed the AI. Fight back. Don't feed the AI. Get a Google phone or a Linux phone. I have them all in stock right now. I'm looking at a big box of Nexus 5s. I got a big box of them. So I get a lot of Nexus 5s and I got a ton of G7s and G7 Plays. So I actually have a lot of stock right now. So we have to just start flashing them, which is a lot of work. But we have stock. We have all of them. I got a ton of 16 gigabyte Nexus 5s and stock of Moto G7s and Moto G7 Plays. The Google phone, I'm going to want to see a Google laptop. A laptop does not have Google on it. Just get Linux on your laptop, end of story. Even Microsoft does not Google. Can I be identified by people I correspond with if I have the regular phones? Yes. If you have a regular Android or iOS, you can't hide your identity. Apple and Google know who you are. Like I said, just think about this. If you have a standard Android or iOS, they can contact trace and say you were 6 feet away from Principe Vegeta right there. How are you doing, Principe Vegeta? Or Vegeta. Or Vegeta, whatever. They know that, and they know your real names, both of you. They'll know your real names. The Google phone, they can't do that. It's just like, it's just too awesome. Somebody says, I'm just here, that I talk about these Google phones because I'm trying to sell you something. And you know what? It's the other way around. I was in need of a solution. I came up with a solution, studied the solution, and when I arrived at the solution, I'm sharing with you because I love it. I don't know what the solution's going to be, when I start this. I didn't have the Google phones a year ago. I didn't know what I was going to talk about. But then I found it and it works. And it's like, wow. When I was talking about Linux phones, some of you say, well, can you teach us how to do it? So I made a video, how do you make a Linux phone? And as you know, it's not easy. So people say, well, I don't want to waste my time with that. Can we just pay you to do it? And that's what I do. And so don't come around telling me that I'm just trying to, trick you into buying things because if you rather not give you a solution, then I won't give you one. Lunatech. What prevents a cell provider from sharing with Google, etc.? The cell provider doesn't get much information other than, by the way, location tracking on a cell system is not as robust as Wi-Fi triangulation. I mean, it's probably 10-to-1 ratio, maybe higher for Google. So the Wi-Fi triangulation, the thing, Wi-Fi scanning, what's used by Google is very exact, 6 feet. The cell triangulation often will isolate you only within, maybe a half mile square. It's not very effective. So what else can a carrier really track? Well, IP address. So what's the solution? Use a VPN. So now what does the carrier have? Not much. I don't buy 5G product. If I can avoid it, I'll avoid a 5G product for as long as I ever can. So get a rotary house phone if you're worried about privacy. No, you don't. Get a de-Googled phone because you trick Google. Okay? You give disinformation. So there's two ways to skin the cat. You have nothing to do with Google and Apple, like with Linux, or you have something to do with Google and Apple, but you give them fake information called disinformation, and it works great. So either way works. Wi-Fi triangulation is not connected to VPN. VPN has to do with IP addresses. Wi-Fi triangulation has to do with location tracking using Wi-Fi routers. Two different things. They're independent. You have to protect against both. They're two separate threats. You do not have control over Wi-Fi triangulation on an Android and iOS phone. You can control it with a Google phone because then you just have to set the privacy settings for location and that's it. It doesn't do anything on the side. The stuff on the side is what it does on an Android phone, and that's what you have to worry about. By the way, guys, if you're learning from my broadcast here, you may want to hit that like button. No one wants to hit the like on the video. So, and thank you for the people who have given super chats. This is really, really important for this channel to get support. I mean, like I said, I made $200 from, which was an increase. It's like $50 more from Google. From Google, that's all we get from YouTube. A couple $100. I just saw your video on Proton Mail. Okay, Cometa, Soulstar, can they triangulate your video on? Can they triangulate me if I'm using 2 cups with a string? Yeah, somebody will have binoculars and triangulate you exactly, because they're gonna look for people with 2 cups and a string. Okay, 2 different things. Wi-Fi triangulation is on a Android and iOS phone. It's not completely permissioned. A lot of the stuff that goes on with location tracking that allows them to do contact tracing is actually not permissioned. It's on all the time. So if you strike that out, that portion of it, then the only thing left on a location basis would be something that requires permission. So in my case, I go to my settings and make sure nobody else gets location settings. Thank you, Andrew. Just bought the Google phone and cloud servers for my 2 cameras from me. Thank you, Andrew. Andrew bought a lot of products from me. I really appreciate it. He's like a major supporter, even on Patreon. So for those of you, I actually have more Patreon account sponsors now, and that is so amazing. That is just, thank you so much. Andrew's one of them, and that is so appreciated. Like I said, I can't keep doing this. Sometimes I wonder, I should go back to designing, enterprise systems like I used to do, and make bigger bucks. The reason I do what I do here is because, no one else wants to do this. No one speaks out for the average person. No one. So, and I'm the one with the skills, because some people go on YouTube and claim to be really techie and whatever, and they don't have the background. Whereas I've been doing this for a long time, and I'm an actual skilled hacker. So this is not theory. I know in practice. I've proven to you. If you think I can't do it, I'll go prove it to you. I can program anything, and certainly I can hack anything. What do you think they were using the custom BlackBerries some members of Congress were using several years ago? Well, BlackBerries are actually pretty good until they put Android on it. So does any surveillance technology principles that you find out the way to gather real data, inspect data, and relate data. So does not sure what that means. So time to move on to a state with no state income tax like Tom Brady. I take my iPhone and Samsung S10, just connect my phone data hotspot for internet when I need to use internet. My SIM card is in the LG Lexus for you and BlackBerry Bold. That's okay. Yeah, that's fine. However, the iPhone will still be tracking you. I mean, you can't stop it. There's actually no way to stop the tracking on iOS in a standard Google phone. There's no way to stop it. That's why you de-Google. If I could give you a switch and say, go here and go to settings, and that would stop the iPhone spying, I would keep it simple and tell you that, but the problem is there's no way to do that. So actually the only answer really is the iPhone and iOS and Android phone should not leave your house. Does your VPN have a Tomato app that I can add to my Tomato router? I don't know. It's a VPN, so it's standard. But I have a VPN router. He sells on his site. Does your VPN work in China? Have you tested it? No, I have not tested it in China. I'm curious. I don't have any customers in China. I actually have no idea. I'm going to guess they block it. I'm going to guess they block it in China. They block it in Saudi Arabia. They don't like you to have VPNs there. Yeah, put the tomato in. I actually don't know. I don't know how tomato works. Does any surveillance technology? Any surveillance technologies collecting data, inspecting data, and relating data? Does any surveillance? What are you? I'm not sure what you're trying to say there. ABC. Not sure what you're saying, but let's just be blunt, okay? Depending on who it is, everyone is trying to capture your data. Be the government. In the case of the United States, the National Ducking Agency is collecting everything it can collect and puts it in the big databases in Utah. And then they collect data also from Google, Apple, Yahoo, and so on. And they put them in the big databases in Utah. In addition to that, you got Facebook, Google, Apple collecting their own data, and they want to do all that, and obviously they're not doing it because they want to help you. I mean, what is the purpose for collecting the data? I mean, it's common sense. The VPN I recommend is my VPN. It's called Bytes VPN, bytzvpn.com. Will he pre-flash the Moogly phones for you, install apps you want, and expect to come with Lineage OS, MicroG, and no random apps? Yes. Peyton is right. You can do it on your own. Certainly, I'm not telling you to buy from me and buy my phones. If you want to do it yourself, you can. It's a terrible process though if you haven't done it before, and it's frustrating because often you think it's so simple and it's not. For example, I said I'm going to experiment with Graphene OS. So I bought myself a Google Pixel 3. So it's a nice phone. It's fairly expensive still. So I paid like $250 for the phone. And I said, okay, there's simple instructions on Graphene OS to install it. Does it work? No. So wasted days trying to figure it out, and I can't make it work. So now what? Now you can imagine that's what you will encounter probably 50% of the time. So in my case, I've already had the experience, for example, on the phones that I sell, I've bricked them. I've, hard bricked them, meaning completely blank screen. I had to reinstall from stock. I've known every trick is to install to them. I know every submodel and every model. And because of that, it just saves time. And if you don't want to spend the time, then I'll do it for you. And I sell them cheap. So the Moto G7 Plays are only $269, and then the Moto G7s, and these are brand new phones, are $299. Brand new phones. Okay, I get them in a box, brand new, and I load the software. You don't get them in a box anymore, just so I could cut down on postage, but they're actually brand new. Okay, so if you can do it yourself and you think you can beat the price, then then you can do it. But I'm trying to just support this channel with the volume that we can do, because we can do a lot of them. Because like I said, we know every trick now. Okay, so some of you have tried it and then you ask me for support, and you're trying to do a Nexus 5 and it's so difficult, this and that, and why bother? I can do it for you. So it's not going to save you much money. So let me just do it for you and support the channel. Again, at $299 for G7, I mean, that's 4 iPhones. 4 of those can buy an iPhone. So think about it. What I'm selling it for, you could buy 1 iPhone to 4 of what I'm selling. From Chile, Jerry Cott. How are you? Have you tried removing Apple? No, you cannot. You cannot do it. It's impossible. Any idea when you will be selling newer, modern Linux Ubuntu Touch phones? Need some for the family. Well, the newest one that we can use that works will eventually be a Pine phone, a Sony Xperia. Again, they're not completely functional yet for Ubuntu Touch. So you're going to have to do Sailfish OS, and I can't get that in the U.S. I can't sell them. I can't sell Sailfish OS. You're going to have to get it directly from Sailfish OS. My store is on rob.brax.me. It's just on Brax.me. Go to Brax.me and look for my profile, and then you'll see my pic. Click on my profile, and then you'll see the store. Thank you, Peyton Penn. Brax VPN router comes with instructions on how to put in custom VPN. If we stop and frustrate data collection and data's relation to relate, then we protect privacy. Well, is it that simple? Is it that simple? ABC. You know, it's such a simple statement, but it's very hard to do. As I just told you, can you block credit card information from being collected, credit ratings, and so on. So where we can, we want to frustrate it, and where we cannot, we want to give it this information. Okay, let me repeat. Where you can't frustrate the data collection, you try to, and if you cannot, you give it this information. That's what the Google phone does. It gives this information because for some of you, you can't do without those apps. You're so used to having Waze, and you say, well, I can't have a phone without Waze. Okay, then there's an answer. The answer is this information. If you can handle it, obviously a Linux phone is a lot safer. So in my case, I actually have multiple phones. So I don't use my iPhone anymore. There's no SIM card on it. I do have an iPhone for regular use. And I don't have a SIM card in it anymore. It doesn't leave the house. I don't even really use it anymore. It's what am I using it for? I think Google Voice. It's the only thing I use it for. Authentication maybe like Authy because I left it there and it's still on there. But I don't use it anymore. I use Nexus 5 and a de-Googled Moto G7 Play. That's all I use. Want to Neuralink or Zucked. Yeah, you can't even think in private. Elon Musk is here. Talk to him. He's in here somewhere. I'm excited about Linux phone's way of privacy. Yeah, so I've been excited. As you know, I made many videos about the Pine phone, and I ordered a Librem 5, over a year ago now. And I still don't have it a year plus later. So, that's where it's going to get fun. The problem is there's still not a lot of good apps for it. So it's going to be a slow process because, a lot of apps on Linux are not made to be responsive. So I myself can develop some apps for it. I actually, there were some things I didn't like about the way Ubuntu Touch works. And instead of complaining about it, I made a change and submitted the change for a pull request on GitHub, and and that's the way to do it. And then they took whatever they want to take and put it into Ubuntu Touch. So that's how Linux works. You can do that. You can have the group react and make changes to it. So that's kind of fun, and that's where I think the excitement will be in the next few years. But it's been slow, and the coronavirus did not help because the supply is so difficult to get to. And as of right now, we are still, I'm going to say, weeks away from having a stable Linux on a Pine phone even. So I can't even make a video because it hasn't stabilized yet. I don't want to keep doing the video over and over. So anyway, I'm hoping it gets stable enough. In which case, then a Pine phone. The only real problem with a Pine phone right now is that the battery doesn't last long enough. I think they got it to like 10 hours. So they got to get that to last a little longer before you have to plug it in. I found, here we go, GPS navigation works on my Google phone without Google Play services. But there's already Open Street Maps, which I pre-installed, Osmand. So it already has Osmand on it. Open Street Maps. Would be great when you get a newer Ubuntu Touch computer phones. Let us know when you'll be selling them. I don't need to sell Ubuntu Touch phones because you can just buy them and put in the SD card because I don't have to do anything to them. No, the new ones, Zavi, the test ones. They're testing something called what is it? Crust. With crust, it lasts. There's some experimentation with something called crust, and then it lasts 10 hours. But without that, it's going to last 6 hours. It's called crust. So they're testing with crust, which is a power saving thing. Do you hear they've run out of ideas, so they're trying out to see if they can cure the Rona. Rob is on the West Coast, yes. So I found here, what am I miss here? Put closer together and voila. I cannot find your shop. Okay, so Wilm V, go to the Brax.me app. Or you can go to the website. So go to Brax.me. Sign up, get an account. Okay? So when you're in the app, you look for Rob Braxman. There's a button there for people, and you'll find me. And then when you look at my profile, you'll find a store. That's one way of doing it. The other way is just going to the link rob.brax.me, and on the browser will connect you directly to me and give me a message to my store. It's in the description of the video. So, yeah, of course you can find me. rob.brax.me will link it to link directly to me with a message, and then you sign up right there and you don't need the app. That's if you want to do it by website. Good night, ABC. But we won't be live. How is Osman for GPS maps? They're very nice. Osman is very nice looking app. Yeah, so it's responsive and the maps are nice looking. Better than UNAV. UNAV is the one on Ubuntu Touch, and everything's kind of tiny and the interface is not as smooth. Osman is very good. So Osman is competitive with the commercial level location devices. What I miss here? I have a Nexus 5. I might try Ubuntu Touch. Yes, you should. You should. Android have a way to protect, like, that's automatic with Android. Android has automatic protection for that. If you're not rooted, because you can't be rooted on a normal Android. As long as you're not rooted, then you're safe. It's very hard to hack a phone. So I'm not too concerned about a phone getting hacked. It's the probability of that. You have to to deal with a state level player to hack a phone. State level player. So an average hacker is not going to be able to hack a phone, either an Android or a iOS. So a government might be able to do it, because they have other means, because they can go into Stingray and all that. They can trick and load viruses in there and all that through other channels, and they can do that using Stingray and SS7 and other things. But in general, it's very hard to hack a phone. So I don't normally worry about, as long as the phone is not rooted, I don't normally worry about a phone that is in my possession. Because in order for it to be hacked, someone has to actually take a hold of it and know your password. What is more accurate, GPS or Wi-Fi? Wi-Fi triangulation, obviously. Although GPS doesn't work indoors, though. That's why Wi-Fi triangulation works anywhere. Yes, I have that app too. It only works on my BlackBerry Classic, Samsung, and phone. Osman works for the Google phones for GPS. Yes. I don't know about other de-Googled phones. Osman comes from F-Droid. Okay, Osman is from F-Droid, so it's open source completely. There are other apps you can use as well, but they're going to have to come from the Google Play Store. But as far as open street maps, Osman is very good, and it's open source. It uses OpenStreetMaps, and the community updates the map. So if there's something wrong with it, the community can update maps immediately. So is CCP state level? Yes, of course. If the CCP wants to hack you, I'm sure they have people who can do that. So anyway, so back to topic here. So what I'm saying is that I would focus on, at least in my videos, I would focus on the big risk factors, the phone, the IP address, and social media aspects of fake name, pseudo-anonymity, and not worry about credit cards, not worry about stuff like that, because you can't stop them anyway, and they're not normally a source of data leaks. They're not the place where it shows up on a third-party website like IntelliU, Spokeo, whatever. No one's going to be able to search your credit card activity. Anyone can search for your face and what you do on social media, but no one can search your credit card activity. Is it difficult for a novice to teach themselves code? It's up to you. It's your desire. I have never been. I've learned when I was in college. I learned COBOL, and that's it. One course in college. I've self-learned every program. I know hundreds of languages now, and I've self-taught myself. I can learn a new programming language in a day or so. So I read the book and then I program. They're all the same. After a while, you realize they're all the same. So you just concern yourself with syntax. So, you concern yourself with how to make algorithms and so on, and that's a thing that takes time to learn. Like, how do you do that? What is the main process? But once you know how a computer works, then from language to language, they're the same. So what I can do in one, I can do in the other. It may be faster to do in one other language, but it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Look at some of the people they teach to these days, not members. Okay, perfect. I might need a phone that has better GPS than the Linux Ubuntu Touch. Probably have to get a Moto. That is the best security for you, King Singh, to be honest with you, is get a the Google phone. Besides, they're not that expensive. The Moto G7 Play is only $269, and you can definitely run Waze and all that on there. So, yeah, I mean, it's not that expensive. It's not like I'm telling you to buy a $700 Samsung Galaxy. So this is why I'm just sticking to a price range. $299 is the high end, $269 is the low end. Maybe I'll sell some Pixels at some point. They'll be more expensive. But I'm not sure they're better phones. For example, I got this Pixel 3, guys, which I'm going to return. And then I realized something wrong with the Pixel 3. It doesn't have a zucking headphone jack. And here we are again. USB-C headphone jack on the Pixel 3. Lightning headphone jack on the zucking iPhone. Is like, suck. Enough with this. They want me to buy some expensive, Bluetooth. And I'm just tired of it. Even my Bluetooth on a computer, I plug it in. I have wireless Bluetooth. I plug it in. So
That's the thing I never understood about my code when I taught myself. I never really needed to pay much attention to what language. I just read the manual pages and learned the syntax. Headphone jack. Yes, I found out the Pixel 3a and XL has a headphone jack because it's a cheap phone in theory. So, so yes, I will consider the Pixel 3a, probably 3a, later on. I'm gonna buy one. Watching this in Pixel 3 plus USB-C audio. Yes, you have a Pixel 3. I mean, they look nice. They're kind of expensive. They look nice. I'm not sure they're any better than the Moto G7, to be honest with you, because it's older. A Moto G7 is a faster CPU. It's newer. Would your G7 D Google work in Europe? The G7 D Google that I sell come from Europe. They are international phones from Europe. We just bring them to the US. They're actually from Europe. They actually have European plugs. So some of the people who buy from me can't use the plugs because the phones are international. So unfortunately, it's only where I can get the Moto G7s. So yes, a Moto G7 will work well in Europe. I've shipped a lot of them to Europe now and everywhere else. Uh, we all need a headphone jack. Yes, AMG, as you continue to love your zucking iPhone. So yeah, I'm enough with this stuff. I want a headphone jack. My former phone was a Lenovo P2. Well, a Moto G7 a is made by Lenovo. Moto G7 Play, that's made by their Lenovo phones. So hopefully that means some sort of quality. They're inexpensive, well made for the price. I have to say they're not metal. The case is plastic, but the screens are so well made. So if you protect it with a case, they look as fancy as any fancy phone. I would protect them with a case because they're made of plastic. Your classical clock and plant on a table in the background are so peaceful and quiet, and your mini party cannon on your shelf with sparkling light is a beautiful background. Are these real? Yes, this is from my boat. It's a boat thing. Well, it's not from my boat, but it's a boat thing. These are, I got lots of Raspberry Pis and things in here. Got a lot of Raspberry Pi parts. There you got the ham radios and cameras and things like that. So yes, I got an iPhone 8. Did not like it. I like the Pixel 3. I have Nexus 5 plus Pine Phone, Living Tech. Great, awesome. Now learn how to program that Pine Phone. So I'm just trying to, I want to develop some stuff for the Pine Phone, and I'm being held back because I don't want to do it before the OS is ready. So I'm kind of like, I don't want to waste my time. So, because when I get started, I want to kind of get it to be more stable. One of the things I'm going to do is take the Pine Phone and sell it as an LTE router. So it's not going to take me that long. That's a fairly quick project, maybe a weekend, and I can get that done. An LTE router using a Pine Phone. So for those people who don't want to, want portability with a VPN router, I got a Pine Phone on order, supposed to be late May delivery. Sounds good? That sounds right. I have such a good relationship with the people on Pine 64. They are great people. I know the owner, TL Lim, and then I know the community manager. What's his name? Begins with L. Anyway, it'll come to me. I was gonna say Linus, but it's not. what did I? It's Lucas. Lucas. You'll buy an LT router? Oh, because you travel. Yeah, I'm gonna make that. Lucas. Yeah. I heard Pine closed. I heard Pine closed in California, USA. What do you mean Pine closed? Pine 64 is in California. What do you mean they closed? Of course, his main operation is actually in Hong Kong. TL Lim is Chinese with his offices, I think, in Hong Kong. I ordered the Pine Phone UB Ports Edition. Is it similar to my Nexus 5 and Ubuntu from... Yes. Yes, it is. But it's not 100% yet. The Nexus 5 will run smoother at the moment. It will run smoother. And the Nexus 5 will last longer. The battery will run longer. And, yeah, and the camera works on the Nexus 5. The camera does not work on the Pine Phone. So, yeah, but that's going to get fixed. So eventually the Pine Phone will operate just like the Nexus 5 with a bigger screen. I'm planning on buying your VPN router soon. Really does... The VPN router option, I mean, this is... it's a pretty amazing little thing. It's inexpensive. And I use it in the most extreme way, and that is I turn it into a gigabit router. So I actually pass it through a switch. So I have multiple Wi-Fi routers at the other end of this. Instead of just using this as the Wi-Fi router, I actually have multiple, so that I can cover like a lot of square footage in my house. So is $20 a fair price for power over Ethernet? You mean the power supply? Because that's just the power supply. Yeah, that sounds about right. It's actually more than that sometimes. It's $20 to $50 for the power supply of PoE. Brax, I forgot I got cover for the router. I forgot if I got a cover for the router. Well, I don't... Yeah, they all get the cover, yeah. It doesn't say this. It says Brax router on it. This is the old one. It says Brax Wi-Fi. The new one says Brax router. Yeah, you're supposed to get a cover. Okay, cool. Have you seen the Tor phone prototype? No, but why would you need a Tor phone prototype? What does it do? I mean, you can just take your standard de-Google phone and run Orbot on it, and then it's on Tor. Can you talk more about using your neighbor's Wi-Fi, no login? Isn't that disinformation? No, because your device, well, the device will still device fingerprint you. Forget about, if you're on your Nexus 5, you're all set. That's fine. Am I ghosted? No. If you're on a Nexus 5, you're fine regardless, because there's no Wi-Fi triangulation on a Nexus 5 anyway. So your Nexus 5 is like safe all around. You stop worrying about any of this, because it doesn't really apply. Nexus 5 is the safest possible phone. Safest possible. But the Tor project wants to make one, okay? Mad Cow, made by me right here in California. Now, the parts are, I don't know where the phone comes from. You know, it's probably made in China, but everything else I make. And I assemble right here. But the Tor project wants to make, they want to make a phone, but not necessarily a Tor phone. You mean the Tor project wants to make a phone. They probably want to make a Linux phone then. Hopefully, it'll be easier for the next round of people to make a Linux phone, but it's very hard to make a phone. I've had videos on why it's very hard to make a phone. It's incredibly complicated. So, incredibly complicated to make a phone. So that's why I'm not expecting like a big rush of phones until you get success with the Pine phone. If the Pine phone becomes, successful financially, then everyone will get into it. The problem is the coronavirus did hit the Pine phone kind of with bad timing, and of course the software isn't quite ready yet. But it should be soon. If I carry two phones with me, my Ubuntu Nexus 5 and BlackBerry Bold, is still safe for privacy? Yes. Except from the government. But aside from the government, yes. No. A BlackBerry Bold is fine. BlackBerry Bold is pretty good. I blame Broadcom and Foxconn for making phones so hard to make. Qualcomm. You forgot Qualcomm and MediaTek. MediaTek, Qualcomm, Broadcom. Yeah, they're the ones who hold the patents that make it hard to make. Have you got my Librem 5? Zach, no. So maybe in October, maybe November, I don't know. But the Linux mobile OS have more time to work on stuff now. Hopefully. They slipped under my radar. So anyway, please hit the like button if you like what I talk about here, and that will be so appreciated. I got some sun. You can see I'm kind of like burned here from being in the sun all day and fixing my boat. So I'm just decided I'm gonna rest a little bit and just spend a little bit of time on my boat and not work too hard, because YouTube channel is doing great. So I'm not trying to make like too many videos a week as I used to. I'm just 92 viewers. No, there already been hundreds of you that been on this channel watching this live stream. Hundreds of you. There likely there have been 600-700 of you that have been here already, and only 10% will hit the like or dislike. So yeah, please show your love or hate, whichever. Hit the like or dislike, and make the algorithm know what you feel. What about having an RPI4 Wi-Fi router? And use the Mac that automatically publish a security device to see who is around. Yeah, I was gonna make that, Zavi. I was gonna make that. The problem is you have to find the right kind of Wi-Fi transmitter, and the one on a Pine phone. I mean, on a RPI. I don't think has all the features that I need. So, and even the one on the Pine phone does not. So it may need an external, good, hackers kind of Wi-Fi for it. So that's been the problem, is finding the right kind of hackers Wi-Fi so you can do it. But I really want to work on that project when I'm finding the time here. But it's really hard, because everyone wants something from me, and it's very hard nowadays. I'm just trying to make a living. Yes, I am a sailor and racer. I've been racing sailboats for many years. I've been racing sailboats for a long time. Let's see. Yeah, very long time. Then I stopped, and then I started racing again. So I'm U.S. Sailing Certified Race Officer. It's not up to date. I haven't updated my certification, but yeah, I am a U.S. Sailing Certified Race Officer. Please discuss more about keeping your stage name safe. Yeah, you which is really what I've been saying is you need to keep identity separate, including phone numbers, photos, and two-factor authentication and email. You really have to separate those. So sometimes you need two devices to do it well. So yeah, WireGuard is in the Linux kernel now. Yes, but so Donnie, it's so important that I got to go change all my servers to WireGuard because then I got to change everything, and I'm going to say, okay, all my servers will now be WireGuard. All of the software now that you're using with OpenVPN will be dumped now, and is it worth the aggravation? I mean, I got to see some solid benefit, and it's still buggy. What class? PHRF right now. I used to be in One Design. William V. I started sailing on a International 470 Olympic class. That's the first. That was my first boat. A International 470. Then after that, keel boats. So my boat's big now. I mean, it's 10 meters. And it's more offshore, So I've done a lot of offshore racing too. I haven't raced to Hawaii, but I've raced up and down the California coast. Like to Mexico and so on. I used an external USB Wi-Fi for Wi-Fi survey security project. I switched my Windows gaming laptop to Linux Ubuntu OS. Not a fan of Billy G anymore because of the thing he's promoting now. Do you have? Yes, I am currently using. So sorry, but I'm using Windows right now because, as I mentioned in my broadcast, I spilled coffee on my Linux laptop, and they can't give me a keyboard right now. It's out of stock. They're still waiting for it to arrive, and they don't have any stock of keyboards, and I got to get it from the UK. So I'm stuck. I'm stuck with Windows for a few more weeks here, it looks like. Hopefully, hopefully next week they'll ship it to me. But at the moment I'm stuck. So I have to use Windows. You sailed a 420. Yeah, I've sailed a 420 obviously, but I've done a lot of racing on a 470. Broke the mast and everything too. Intel or AMD? Intel. Why would government harm privacy and human rights? Why not? What benefit can they obtain? Control, obviously. Can we modify phone's hardware to the phone? Only works for us, just like Snowden did in the video. No. Linux 5.6 kernel has WireGuard. Yes, I know that, Donnie, but it's not perfect. Just because it's in there. Even Linus Torvald says there's still issues in it. I don't know what that means. When people say it's faster, what does that really mean? Am I going to get more throughput out of it? I don't think so. Yeah, the 420 is the collegiate, the college version of the 470. Hello, Jay. The college version is the 420. The Olympic class version is the 470. But guess where they're made? The 420 and 470 are made in Wisconsin, where I bought it from. They're made in Wisconsin. The Samsung Android have more vulnerabilities to privacy than other Android OSs. No, all Androids have vulnerabilities. That's why you have to de-Google them. Does anyone find display drivers for Linux is super buggy? Both WireGuard benefits from extremely high-speed cryptographic primitives and deep integration with underlying operating system kernel. So speeds are high with low overhead. That is very little effect in real life. You know, I need some sort of if you should look at my CPU, you know, with how does that affect a normal user running at, you know, 5% CPU? It doesn't. So you guys still need to hit the like button. Yes, nobody's hitting that. What do you think of the new 13-inch Mac? No MacBook Pro. No, Zuck. No. I've had enough of MacBook Pros. I have a MacBook Pro. You sailed here from Wisconsin. Why isn't the MacRib year long? Exactly. Thank you, MJ. Max Zucks. 2014 when the MacBook Pro peaked. First of all, they have the stupid keyboard. And then, you know, then you get the MacBook with that stupid thing where it has a single USB-C. And even on a fancy MacBook Pro, they don't even have enough connectors. It's like, come on. No USB-A. No, it's like, what does Apple want to do? They're like deciding for me what I need to use instead of giving me what I need. They just say, well, we're going to take away your headphone jack. We're going to take, you know, it's like, suck. So now you have to put a dongle of a hub for USB-C and well, you know, the MacBook looks so sleek just having one USB-C port. So zuck that, and then then they made the Pro, have an extra port, not much. So zuck that. It's not even that powerful. CPU is more powerful on even this HP that I'm using here. Back in the day, they were like the super powered computers of the day were the MacBook Pros, and not anymore. There's nothing special about them at all. Hello, Lenny PR. So anyway, okay, so we're running this too long, so we're gonna end this broadcast. Appreciate you guys being here, guys. Thank you for the super chat. Look at that. People have contributed $54 to the chat's revenue. That is just amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you to all the people that contributed. And again, I do have a Patreon account, and that is growing now, and it's actually getting to be significant. So I appreciate that. My store is on rob.brax.me, and the two hottest products in my store are the Google phones, the VPN routers, Tor and VPN routers, and the VPN itself, the VPN service. So all of that are my main products, and hopefully later on I'll have more products, but that's what I have right now, and that's really supporting this channel, and I really, really appreciate it. And Tyre Meyer, so quiet all night. So quiet. Missed the stream by 2 hours. Good night, guys. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in a video midweek. In the meantime, have fun and stay out in the sun like I do, and other people are out there, so if they're out there, I'm going to be out there. So thanks for watching, guys. Good night.